everybody. I am Christ Am Disciple once again, and once again, we are going to be doing another stream today. So there's two streams today. As you can see, we're going to go through and break down the Man of Steel trailer, the third one. Actually, it's my favorite trailer, and this was on request. And we're also going to go through a poem, Echoes. So this is not as much Restore the Snyderverse as this is, even though it's along those lines. It's more about meaning. Let's call it meaning. Okay. Having understanding because you understand context and meaning. So let's go into this stream. Welcome one and all to this channel. If you like what you're seeing, don't forget you can like, share, subscribe. You can also donate via PayPal. The link is in the description. And before I can continue onwards, even though I did it in the first video, I'm going to do it again. All praise be to the Most High God. The Most High God comes first in my life. And so I am instructed and guided accordingly. Shout out to all the people out there looking to do good in this world. This stream is brought to you by LIVE Products. LIVE, live now, we're live now. So I'm going to play an ad for my sponsors.
A pleasant good day to you, ladies and gentlemen. The LIVE brand has expanded from drinks to punches. The punches cost $15. The drinks cost $10. In the drinks we have grapefruit orange sorrel, fruit punch, Morby lemon, ginger ale, and lime. In the punches, we have pumpkin, banana, Guinness, cocoa. We have sea moss, beetroot, molasses, and peanut punch. To order, check the description. LIVE, live now, we're live now. Good day, ladies and gentlemen. The LIVE brand also includes cleaning products. Now, here we have a number of cleaning products. To your right is disinfectant. This here is dishwashing liquid. This is fabric softener. And we have a new LIVE product, this product right here. This is car wash. Car wash soap. We also have liquid detergent. To order, check the description. LIVE, live now, we're live now.
So if you're in the Trinidad and Tobago area, you can check out the LIVE products and you can order them. The way to order is in the description. Let's get into it. So we're going to go straight into the Man of Steel. I think it was the third trailer, official trailer. We're going to go into it and we'll start breaking it down. I'm going to play for you bits and pieces of it and we'll go into it. So let's begin.
Goodbye, my son. Our hopes and dreams travel with you.
He'll be an outcast. They'll kill him.
How? He'll be a god to them.
What if a child dreamed of becoming something other than what society had intended? What if a child aspired?
Okay, I'm freezing it right there. All right, there's a lot that we just saw. So I want to first give a shout out to Askalan Falcon, AK. Let me see if I get your name correct here. Wajid Malik. Shout out to Wajid Malik, also known as Lee, on my channel. Shout out to you, brother. And he's also known as Askalan Falcon. Askalan is an area in Palestine. And so I believe Wajid is from that area. So I did not know you kept on checking out my videos, Wajid. I didn't know that you were from Palestine. So shout out to you, brother. Either it's Palestine or you're from Iraq. some area around there, because you speak about the Mesopotamian Empire, etc., etc. So shout out to you, my brother. And for those of you who don't know, I'm from Trinidad and Tobago. I'm from the Caribbean. I from the Twin Island Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. That's where I come from. And been in the United States. I've not been to Europe. I've never been to Africa. I want to go to Russia, China. I want to go to Africa. And by extension of Africa, what they call Middle Asia or the Middle East was a part of Africa. Okay, but it's not, and they still have in other countries which they call the Middle East, but they're in Africa. So anyway, so I want to go to those places. The IQ of the people are, the knowledge they have is far superior to what we in the West have in terms of knowledge, in terms of medicine. I come from a medical background, so in terms of medicine and in terms of a number of different things. So we're going to go into that, but shout out to Wajid as we go through this trailer. So I'm gonna back the trailer up a bit. Hold on a second. There you go. Okay, so starting again. So here we are on Krypton, right? We're on Krypton, and the scene opens with Krypton having a civil war, right? There's a coup that is attempting to take place in Krypton. And we see this blaze of firepower. There's a war going on. And Jor-El comes and he sees this big explosion, right?
Goodbye, my son. Our hopes and dreams travel with you.
Okay. So the story begins on a sort of Shakespearean tragedy. The trailer is introducing the tragedy of Superman. James Gunn's trailer tried to start off with a tragedy. Tries to start off with something that gets your attention. Superman crashing to the ground, injured, right? This is more of a Shakespearean tragedy, classical tragedy, in that here is Jor-El bidding his son goodbye, knowing he will never, ever see his son alive after this point. Jor-El's world is about to come to an end. Jor-El is about to come to an end. Everything that Jor-El knows and everything that used to exist is about to come to an end. So when Jor-El says this to Kal-El, it is with great weight that he sings, right? As he bids his son farewell. So what's sort of blessed about that is Jor-El has the control. He has the power to sort of influence how his future is going to be through his son. So while Jor-El will not be able to carry on, his son will be able to carry on in his name. And for the older generations, we look to the younger generations to carry on, I'm going to say something that has to do with Palestine. There's a reason why children are so precious. Why? Even what the United Nations does protecting women and children, but particularly the children I'm thinking about right now. Children are the future. Children denote the future, right? If there's no more children, if nobody can make children, there was this movie. I'm trying to remember what the name of it is. I can't remember the name of the movie right now. Sweet Tooth. Sweet Tooth is a great story because Sweet Tooth tackles this. Sweet Tooth is about these mutants that start appearing in the earth, and people are trying to kill off these mutants, but these mutants have resistance to a virus that is killing out mankind. And the beauty of Sweet Tooth is this: anybody who could give birth, humans that is, for some reason, they no longer can create other humans. It's always one of these mutants that comes out. So any birth, uh, any birth, that happened, after this outbreak and this virus has been a mutant. So that's interesting because that impacted a lot of people, a lot of powerful people. They couldn't have children that weren't mutants. And these people were opposed to the mutants. They wanted to have the mutants butchered and killed and all kinds of things. So the very thing you hate becomes your offspring, becomes your future. That was Sweet Tooth. And for those of you who haven't seen Sweet Tooth, it's a series that was on Netflix. It's a DC film. I would advise you highly to see it. However, I would not advise you to see it on Netflix because I don't have Netflix anymore, mainly because Netflix stopped showing the Palestinian stories, and the Palestinian voice was censored on Netflix. So Netflix allowed Zionists to control them and remove the Palestinian voice. Now I just featured in my last video literal Palestinians talking about their country and so on, and to me that brings great joy because I don't want to hear from a third party. I want to hear from the horse's mouth. I want to hear from the Palestinians how things really are going, and they haven't had a voice. And anytime they have a voice, it's usually shouted down. So the future. Children are your future. Which is why it is such a tragedy what happened in Palestine, which brings us to Palestine. That, so many young children were either maimed or murdered in Palestine, in Gaza, in the West Bank. A lot of these kids, a lot of Gaza's population is children. It's mostly children. I think more than 50% of the population, children. So this is why, the world looks down on anyone who tries to kill children or hurt children or harm children. We know that the greatest international criminal trade in the world today isn't drugs anymore, isn't contraband or arms. It's the trafficking of human beings, particularly the trafficking of children. We see in the world today a movement to call pedophilia a disease instead of a crime. We see in the world today a movement towards trying to legalize what was once known as statutory rape. They're trying to legalize younger people in their teens being classed as if they have adult rights and privileges. We see in the world today a movement towards depravity. I will not say too much more about that, but what I can say is there's an incredible attack on our children, on our young people today more than ever before, and they have to deal with a lot of things, a lot of obstacles towards progress. The crimes against children are tremendous. In Sudan, we have children who are harvesting cobalt and work the mines. We have in Somalia, Somalia is stabilizing a bit, but again, a lot of children, have been killed and also are without food and clothing and shelter in those places. Why do I speak about children so much? Again, not only because they are the future, but because usually children are the closest thing we get to uninhibited expression of what we have inside. Children are more honest about what's going on with themselves than we as full-fledged adults. We tend to mask a lot of things. We have been socialized so that we learn how to have racism. We learn how to class ourselves and become classists, and we won't affiliate with this set of individuals or this set of individuals. Okay, but as a child is not like that. The younger the child is the more you'll find that children are predisposed to engaging with anyone and welcoming anyone. They have to be conditioned. They have to be trained to not talk to strangers, to disengage, to only stay with mommy and daddy, etc., and so on and so on. Okay, they're socialized to do that. I just want to give you an example of this if I can find it. I have to think about what I'm going to do before I do it. I do not know if I have the picture there anymore, but let me have a look. Let me just move across to that. So let me see. It's going to be in downloads if anything. Do I have it? No, I don't have it anymore. It's a pity. Maybe it's in screenshots. Let me see. Yes, there you go. So this beautiful picture here pretty much demonstrates what I'm talking about with children. Okay. This is a picture from 1952. Now, in 1952, the Jim Crow laws and all of that crap was going on. But two best friends in Chicago who got caught by the police at night, they used to sneak out at night and ride the L train. The boys were James Davis, age 5, who was black, and Ronald Sullivan, age 8, who was white. At the train station, James fell asleep on a chair while Ronald watched over him. They seemed like brothers who cared for each other, even though they had different skin colors. And this is in the time of racism. And that's the thing with kids. That's the thing with children. Children can be very vicious to one another. Let's not fool ourselves. But at the same time, children have the propensity to naturally acquiesce with other children and interact with other children. And they don't see race, color, creed, none of that. They just see another individual and they interface with each other. The individual might look different to me, but who gives a damn? Maybe you be my pal, maybe you be my friend. The point I'm making is that we have to be conditioned. We have to be trained. We have to have life experiences and unpleasant ones and decide how we're going to deal with the unpleasant experiences. We as adults have become more fearful of being our true selves around other people, being transparent with other people. There's things we'll hide, there's things we'll guard, there's things we keep secret, and so on and so on. And we pretend and all of that stuff. Children are not like that. We are like children that got very, what's the word I'm looking for? We got tricky about our feelings, tricky about how we want to display things to different people. We become more secretive about ourselves. Certain parts of ourselves that we want to shelter and protect, we try to hide it from people. But kids are not like that. And I keep on stressing on children, because children are like that spark of fire that starts off and then it becomes a big flame. A child has the potential to be all kinds of different things. And we're going to go into this in Man of Steel in a second, right? A child can be just about anything you can think about. A child can be, okay? Shout out to all my subscribers and the people actually watching this stream right now. If you like, you can leave comments. Now, I will try to look at the comments to see if you're commenting right now, because I know some of you guys are probably commenting right now. So I'll try to do that. I do get copyright strikes on this thing. I don't know how, but I do. But I'm just trying to get just talk to you guys as a human being to another human being. You guys are all human beings. I know, this is not butts behind this thing. This is actual human beings. And you guys, you may be wherever you are in the world, you can pretty much identify with what I'm saying right now, which means we're not that much different from each other. We're human beings. We're not different. We may speak different languages. We may come from different cultures, but we're not much different from each other. We really aren't. And unfortunately, we have been taught, oh, you're different from that person. You can't interface with this person. This person's better than you. Just because somebody has a better job than you, maybe somebody has more money than you, doesn't make them better than you. You are you. You are walking in your lane. They're walking. I have really good friends who are very, very wealthy. I have very good friends who are dirt poor. Class doesn't determine friendship. I'll say it again. Class doesn't determine friendship. You know what determines friendship? Commonalities that we could share with one another. It's the commonalities that brings us all together. Restore the Snyderverse and Release the Snyder Cut brought people from all kinds of different walks of life who appreciated the same kinds of movies. And that produced something special that changed Hollywood forever. We got the Snyder Cut. Not only did we get the Snyder Cut, but on that journey, we were able to touch lives through the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention. We were able to touch lives and prevent some suicides from happening in the world, saving lives. Not only that, and I wish we could go back to these things, talking about what we love, what we're passionate about, but I saw so many talented, gifted people in the Snyder fandom. I saw cosplayers, brilliant cosplayers like Meg and so on. And then I saw beautiful, beautiful, beautiful art. Some of you are tremendous artists. I saw people do songs and music, tremendous, studio work. And I saw you guys collaborate with each other and do themes and songs. You inspired me. And I was proud to be part of a movement that used art. And y'all had competitions and y'all raised money for a lady who needed to have this art thing for some kids. And you raised money for that. And then you guys raised money for the homeless. And we coordinated with Subway, and so many other businesses jumped in after Subway. And you raised money for the homeless. I will never forget that. I will never forget that. I remember what this group did. I will never forget that young lady from China. I forgot her name right now. Fiona. Selfless. Beautiful soul. She knew Zack Snyder. And she helped us to go all the way. I will never forget Release the Snyder Cut. Hashtag Release the Snyder Cut Twitter handle. Who also steered the ship sort of like for us. There were these anonymous people. We didn't know who they were behind Release the Snyder Cut, but they all worked together to coordinate us. We ended up with SnyderCon. We ended up with so many good things. And yes, there were elements in there that were jealous of them and took over stuff and whatever. And, there's also elements with some other people talking about sell the Snyder Cut to Netflix that kind of fractionated the Restore the Snyderverse campaign that was really on the way. But I stick with the Restore the Snyderverse campaign, the original thing, because I know this is what needs to happen. And it's clearly going to happen because there's no alternative to it. The more, again, all the people watching this. So anyway, these two kids, this is what the world could be. This is the possibility right here. I want you to see them now. The police had to catch them, but I love it. I love it. This is kids. They're adventuresome. They're willing to take risks. This is what we love about kids. Let's get back to what we're doing. So you have to understand how precious young Kal-El was to Jarrell. So when Jarrell says, my hopes and dreams travel with you because you are my genetic lineage, he means it. And that's how precious every life is. That's how precious every individual is. Okay? Let's keep it moving. Hans Zimmer score, which we will hear in the movie. So for the first time, the trailers, this is another very important point. This is a very, very important point I want to just highlight here. The trailer is playing the music in the movie. This is the music you will hear in Man of Steel. A lot of times I hear trailers with music that's not from the movie. Right? Even with Zack Snyder's Justice League, to the 2017 version, we were hearing dum 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 dum, and it's cool, it's badass and everything. But that wasn't the music in the movie. That came in after, at the end of the movie, you know. And even with Zach was telling different stories with his music, but I like that Man of Steel literally had music that was in the movie, you know, and it was very impactful. Here's Jarrell holding young Clark. Let's keep it moving.
My hopes and dreams travel with you.
He'll be an outcast. I'll kill him.
How? He'll be a god to them.
Okay. So here Jarrell is saying how he'll be a god to them. Now, mind you, a lot of people take this out of context. A lot of people take this out of context. Now, there's a lot going on there. I'll go back to what's going on there in a second. But first, she was right. They did kill him. Right? And to some people, Superman was like a savior. He was like a messiah. He was like a god to them. Right? And you even hear Lex Luthor talking about, God and God and God and God. Right? But Superman wasn't a god, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, he wasn't a god. Superman was just an alien from another planet, right? But human beings have a tendency to worship or give honor to things that to things that are grander than they thought could happen. Take, for example, I'd quicker give honor, or a human being would quicker give honor to a president who, let's say the president pardoned someone, or let's say the president of a country donated X amount of dollars to a cause. They would quicker honor that guy because of the grandness and just the bigness of him than they would honor, say, for example, a poor person who donated a much smaller amount of money to a cause. Now, the president of a country has a lot of resources at his hand. And so, just like when Jesus talked in the Bible about the poor widow who put 2 mites into the treasury box. And then these wealthy people came, the leaders, and they put, way more than that, like so many shekels of gold into the, and Jesus said, who gave the greater sacrifice? And it turned out it was the widow. She gave everything she had. And similarly, if a poor person wants to donate out of the abundance of what they don't have to help someone or some cause, they sacrifice more than somebody who has abundant resources at their disposal and can do so. And so why I say this is because when you sacrifices everything, with Superman had these enhanced powers because he was on Earth, and he did seem like a god to some people. But he had certain abilities. So he used his abilities to help people, help mankind. But really, some of the unsung heroes who took greater risk and greater sacrifices. And people don't think about it this way, but this is for you to think about. Lois Lane actually sacrificed herself even more than Superman did in that movie because she didn't have any superpowers. She put herself in certain positions where she could have easily gotten destroyed, right? When she was confronting Batman about Superman, when she was confronting Lex Luthor and got thrown off of the tower, when she was investigating the incident the rebels in Nairobi, Africa. She was in the middle again of the action. She could have died. You know what I mean? She took a lot of risks. She didn't have superpowers. She didn't have any special training. You know what I mean? When you look at, she did have special training. Sorry, my bad. Because she was able to, in one of the comic books before Man of Steel came out, it showed how she was able to apprehend a certain corrupt, I believe it was a senator or something. He had pulled a gun on her and she was able to flip the script on him and neutralize him. So she can fight. But I say all of this to say that, again, she risked her life, confronting Superman when he was about to burn Batman into Thy Kingdom Come, right? So she took so many risks, and nobody really thinks about that. When you think about, Superman's father, Jonathan Kent, how he was saving people from the tornado, he went back to save the dog. You have to understand how much more of a risk it was for him. Superman, a tornado won't do anything to Superman. A tornado does something to Jonathan Kent, right? And that's why he's dead. So, we usually value heroics based on the abilities of people, their stature in society. But it's the least of these sometimes who sacrifice so much more to accomplish a good. We always talk about, the American soldiers, how brave they are. They get medals of honor and all of this stuff. When you think about the Palestinian resistance, whether it's Hamas or whatever other groups they are, these guys, you got to understand, these guys, first of all, they're badmouthed by the West. And then second of all, these guys are on the front lines doing what they do. They're not in any think tank. They're not sitting back away from the actions, planning out things with strategy. The leaders, Sinwar was on the battlefield fighting. He was on the battlefield fighting with the troops. I think of Wonder Woman, the same thing. So anyway, bringing it back in. He said, my hopes and dreams travel with you. And Superman being a god to humanity is cool, but I would prefer those who take risks, the not so flattering people, the people who live for other people. I want you to understand Superman and Man of Steel had a number of Supermen in Man of Steel. Lois Lane was one. Perry White, at a certain situation, was one. Inspiring hope and keeping the young intern encouraged, not panicking all the time. Of course, Superman was one. Jonathan Kent was one. We had multiple Supermen in that movie. And I would say that those other Supermen took more courage to do what they're doing, because whereas Superman's pretty much indestructible, these guys were not indestructible, right? But the same attitude, the same focus, the same devotion to helping other people, but at a sacrifice, at a great cost. I would even say the guy in Wayne Towers, that when the towers came down, I forgot what his name is, Jack. Jack was more Superman than than Superman, because Jack died. But Jack tried to clear out everybody. You get what I'm saying? Because there's always a risk. There's always a risk, you know? So anyway, they did kill Superman eventually, true Lex Luthor. So all the people who had an issue with Superman, they kind of got their revenge through Lex Luthor. And he was seen as a god to them. That was one of the things he was seen as. So both Jor-El and Laura were right. So here's his little ship going to Earth, passing by the moon. I just want to show you a couple other things. So I'm going to come out of this for a second and go back in. Okay, let's just look at a couple details here. So a ship just explodes. Of course, Zack Snyder's doing this kind of beautiful coloration. It's matching with the music and stuff. But really, it's a big war going on in there. You can see plasma bullets flying all over the place, right? Okay, and Jor-El's looking around. Let's keep it moving.
Hopes and dreams travel with you.
You'll be an outcast.
Okay, right here. I thought this is a sci-fi note. Anti-gravity material. You remember when Superman was flying off into space? Well, they actually have that technology to start with, where they can change the electromagnetic fields. And when you know, the electromagnetic fields that oppose gravity, that are great enough force to oppose gravity, is what is happening. Its vibrational frequency increases until you levitate and you start going up in the air, okay? So they have technology in Krypton to be able to make that thing levitate and go up into the ship, which I thought was really cool because it's kind of like a precursor to Superman flying, if you think about it. There's like a foreshadowing of Superman flying. He's ascending to the ship. You know what I'm saying? He's ascending. This is called ascension. You know, I just thought it was just really cool, the visual image. And I had to cover that before we moved on.
I'll kill him.
How? He'll be a god to them.
And you see there the Superman ship going from underneath, it goes from below and it turns above. Again, all about ascendancy. All about ascendancy. And you notice the symbol is hope. So the symbol of hope is arising from the bottom to the top. It's coming to the fore because the hope here is that Superman will be the hope for the future of Krypton, right? So it's all a metaphor, all grasped by Zack Snyder. Again, when you have dyslexia, you can see things that we cannot articulate so well, but as you see it, it's telling a visual story as well, you know? So there's these things. Let's run it back again. Let's run it back again so you guys can see. We're going to really break this down. I know you guys have also your input. Guys, talk in the chat. Even though I don't see the chat, it's going to be there when we start, when the stream is uploaded, so people can see it, so I can see what you say in the chat. So please do not hold back on saying what you're saying. Even if I don't respond to you, please don't hold back. Say what you have to say in the chat because it's going to contribute to a greater understanding for everyone. Let's watch it again.
Goodbye, my son. Hopes and dreams travel with you.
Okay, so another thing I see here. Oh, you see how Jor-El is holding Kal-El, newborn baby. This is a newborn baby, by the way. This is a newborn baby. This baby hasn't even sucked its mother's milk. It's a newborn baby. And notice how he holds him so preciously in his hands. Oh, let's run it back again because we're going to break this down as much as we can. You know, I don't care how much time it takes me. We're going to break it down, okay? All right, let's go again. Look at that. So beautiful, though. So scary at the same time. There's the beast that was flying Jor-El. Look how he's holding him tenderly in his hand, watching him intently.
Hopes and dreams travel with you.
Look how he touches him so sacredly.
You'll be an outcast.
And there's that levitation
I'll kill
upwards.
How?
There's that upward turn to the light. Notice the light is above as well. Notice the ship is moving as a beacon of light. Okay, so now we're going to go biblical on y'all guys. So there's layers to the onion, right? There's layers, and Zach is so visual. You know, there's so much he's saying visually, right? So let's run it again, and I will. What can I do? Can I kill the volume? I'm gonna try and kill the volume, and I'm just gonna narrate some of the things I'm seeing in real time. Okay, here we go. There was war in heaven. Okay, there's war in heaven, and here is the Son of God, the beacon of light, according to Christendom. There's his ascension. That's his ascension. And there's that beacon of light coming to the world. Right? All right, let's run that back again. So there's that. Okay? There's a lot of things going on here. So I'm going to try and take my time and give the story. You know, they talk about, you know, it's legendarily, these are legendary, legendary stories. The story of Horus. You can go all the way back, you know, from the beginning. All of these are the same. There's always, you know, the Son of God, you know, blah, 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 blah. Now let's look at it again, because there are layers to the onion. And the more we look at it, it's the more we see deeper and deeper into it. Let's go again. Here's the great war in the heavens, right? This is in some amongst the stars, right? Here is Star Wars, if you want. You see the beast carrying Jor-El. Now, this is important. Beast carrying Jor-El. Now, if you know anything about, I mean, some of you guys know about this, but there are seraphims and cherubims, and, you know, and they're the beast-like creatures in Revelation, you know, that are around the throne of God. So Jor-El riding on a beast isn't really that strange. You know what I'm saying? If you think of Jor-El as, you know, the Lord God Almighty, sort of like, and then the beast as one of the beasts that serve him, you know, celestial beast, you know. So, you know, you can look at it in a biblical kind of way. You can look at it, you know, in a spiritual kind of way. You know, if you look at the beast looks sort of like a dragon, right? The beast is kind of dragon-like. It's almost like Jor-El's riding a dragon, right? Okay. So there's a lot going on there. It's not just what you think it is. And you look at the buildings, you know, the buildings are built there, you know, the citadels, they actually look like mosques. They kind of look a Byzantine. They say Byzantine, but mosque-like, right? Byzantine's really mosques, right? Let's not fool ourselves. They're dome-like. Okay? So there's a lot going on here that is not said, but goes without saying. Okay? So let's watch it again. Without the sound this time. Now, if you look at the different what's it I'm looking for? The word I'm looking for is the different vehicles in that place. It's also very interesting. I want to show you a couple things. I just noticed a couple other things before I even go further in the trailer, and then I'll bring back the sound. Okay. So let me show you this. So watch the aircraft, the kind of craft that they have. Right? Let's watch them again. They look like T's. Now, for me, coming from a biochemical perspective, they look like antibodies. Antibodies are T-shaped. I'm just saying. That's just me. Notice that the place is also, it's kind of almost like a sunset. You see the sun in the background there. It's a red sun. And there's that dragon-like creature. And he's holding the little boy preciously in his hands. She's touching him. He's stroking his head. Now, there's another thing. This is so quick, but you got to catch it. Watch this. Watch this here. I want to show you something. There's the Helix right next to him. You see the mountainous area, but the mountainous areas don't have any life on them, it seems. At least in that particular area. Look at it. There's a catchment thing. Let me see if I can get it. I'm going to try and run it back one more time. I'm going to freeze it if I can. Okay, so the child starts to levitate off of the platform, and the arms that were holding him down, they start to open out. But look, if you look at the top here, oh, I can't open it up. Okay, I just increased the light. Okay, if you look at the top there, you see a catchment thing and it's open to capture the baby, and then it locks the baby in, right? And the baby has to get whatever atmosphere. That thing has to self-contain an atmosphere or something for the baby, so the baby could breathe. It has to get nutrition somehow, because this is a newborn baby. This is what you have to realize, people. This is a newborn baby. Okay, this baby hasn't sucked. It hasn't gotten any milk. Nothing. I don't know if maybe she did. Maybe she actually fed it, but that baby has to live. It has to get nutrients somewhere, and so on. You know, we didn't think we haven't thought this thing through. This capsule here is self-contained. It will take care of that baby until it reaches where it has to go. Right? So that's kind of crazy in and of itself. And it begs the question. It begs two questions. One, how long did it take for Kal-El to get to Earth? And two, when he did get to Earth, how did Martha Kent and Jonathan Kent, how did they find ways to feed the baby? They had to be able to feed the baby. They had, because the baby wasn't going to just use anything, right? That is a whole story in itself, right? How did these Earthlings, when they found the baby, how did they take care of that baby? And that in itself could be a whole movie, right? How they raised Superman, right? How they raised this little child to become an adult. That in itself would be a triumphant story to tell. That would be, I know there's Smallville from the CW, but I'm talking about thinking about it all the way through, like every single detail, and making a film out of that. That would be crazy, right? Because that in and of itself is, and this is sci-fi, right? Let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. So there's scientists. You see the S moving into the light, then it heads to its home. Okay, good. All right, so we're gonna just turn back up the volume. Love the drumming.
What if a child dreamed of becoming something other than what society had intended?
Let's stop right there. That's deep what he just said. Okay, so as I said before, children have to be socialized into believing this is what things are. In our world, we are socialized to believe this is how you have to live your life. X, Y, and Z. There are certain expectations of society on you as a result. Now, when you're socialized a certain way, going to school, this is what going to school, this is what you have to do, and blah, 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 blah. And they say, these things to really do well in society, you need to do this, right? So this particular story is a commentary on that. You see what I'm saying? It's a commentary on that. Now, they say when you get older, you get a job, you pay your rent, you pay your bills, you eventually get a home, you eventually get a car, you eventually get married, you eventually have children, and, you save up until you get old so you can have a pension and so on, and vacation. This is what society dictates of people in a general scope. They say you're running off the rails when you do something different. But I've always noticed that the very successful people never run the way of the system. They never, the really, really successful people, they're always going in some other unique direction, all their own. So when I hear, what if a child, let me run it back. Listen to Jarrell talking.
Goodbye, my son. Hopes and dreams travel with you.
He'll be an outcast. I'll kill him.
How? He'll be a god to them.
Listen to it.
What if a child dreamed of becoming something other than what society had intended?
Society is such that we already have caste systems. We already have people say, my father was in the army, so therefore I'm going into the military. My mother's whole side were teachers. My father's whole side were teachers, and then I'm going to become a teacher. Why? Because, society says, well, if you're in this block, you should stay in this block. If you're in this religion, you should stay in this religion. If your parents were in this religion, you should stay in the religion they were in. The traditions must be passed down. I'm the son of a warrior, so I'm a warrior, and so on and so on. So we already have a caste system sort of like in society because, again, children don't go much further away from what they see. But what if a child decided to do something other than what society intended for him? And Krypton is more of a even stricter socialization in the sense that, of course, people are genetically predisposed to be X, Y, and Z, right? In Krypton. Because Superman was a natural birth, he could be whatever he wanted to be. But it's an allegory. It's a metaphor for the world today. In the world today, if your parents are academics, if your parents are academics, your whole family's involved in academia, you are expected to become an academic. Some children, Asian children, etc., if your family has doctors and lawyers and teachers in it, you're expected to be a doctor, a lawyer, or a teacher, right? And your parents even might push you into being that, right? Where you may want to be an artist, you may want to be a comedian, you may want to be a engineer. There are people who go into engineering from countries. If you're in Africa, you're probably an engineer or a doctor, right? If you're from Asia, or India, you're probably a doctor, right, or a lawyer, right? So there's the caste system, if you really pay attention. But what if somebody decides they're not going to be anything that their country or their people or their society wants them to be? In my country, calypso and soca is the major type of music. I'm a musician, but I don't do calypso. I don't do soca. I can sing calypso, I can sing soca, but I don't do it. I do something different. And again, that's because I can. Because that's what I'm predisposed to be. So this movie appealed to me in that respect, that you don't have to go the way of how society may even pressure you into being. Society may pressure you into being this or pressure you into being that. Your family might pressure you into being this or pressure you into being that. People coming to associate will tell you, maybe you should be this, maybe you should be that. No, it's what you naturally predisposed decide to do. And this is where this movie starts to begin with choice. Choice being the major theme in this movie. And it's introduced in this trailer. And it's one of my favorite trailers, as I said before, because just how it's composed and it's composite. And in the meantime, you're also seeing a butterfly. But what's happened to this butterfly? What's happened to this butterfly? You see what happened to the butterfly? The butterfly is on a chain. The butterfly wants to fly free, but it's on a chain. I'm just saying. And Zack Snyder. All right. Let's run it back. Let's go again.
Goodbye, my son. Hopes and dreams travel with you.
He'll be an outcast. I'll kill him.
How? He'll be a god to them.
She's double guessing it, I love the arguments that they make with each other.
What if a child dreamed of becoming something other than what society had intended? What if it's true?
My son was in the bus. He saw what Clark did.
You're the answer, son. You're the answer to are we alone in the universe?
Can I just keep pretending I'm your son?
You are my son.
Okay. All right, let's start with, so what if a child decided to be something greater? I love that. Again, the music, the visuals are all elevation. It's kind of like an ascension. The movie keeps on going through ascension. It's building up, and you feel like you're ascending, right? And then the words, what if a child decided to be something greater? All right. What is greater? Anything you do in life that is to benefit other people is greater than anything you do in life just simply to benefit yourself or to benefit yourself at the expense of others. Greater is how much you can give. It's not measured in how people esteem you. It's not measured in what you have, the things you possess. It's really measured in what you can give, in my opinion. And so for a child to aspire to something greater means they probably have a lot to give, right? Okay. And then after that, we see that Clark is doing something incredible, right? And they're witnesses. And Clark, you hear Clark's friend's mother, well, his friend's mother, say that, they saw him. They were in the bus. They saw what he did, right? So she's believing them, but nobody really can confirm it other than the kids, again, children, right? And then we see this clip here with Clark and the Kryptonian ship. The father's revealing to Clark, obviously, where his roots are from, that he's not human. And Clark is like, can I keep on pretending to be your son? And he's like, no, you're my son. And why would he, not Jonathan can't say that? Because remember, they raised this child with great difficulty from a newborn baby. Let's not forget, he was a newborn baby when they moved him in the ship to Earth. So I don't know if it was a week it took him to get to Earth. I don't know how long it took him to get to Earth. Luckily for him, he landed in Kansas. Jonathan and Martha saw him and they took him on, and they didn't have any children. So this was a new thing for them, and they had to find the right formula. They had to find the right stuff that he would take in, if he would take it in, if he would get nutrients, how he would breathe. She said he struggled to breathe. So we don't know if he had to be hospitalized. We don't know what his story was. And that's why I want to hear this story. This part of Superman, I want to hear this story. Because it's touch and go. I feel this story was a touch and go story. And that's why Jonathan says, you are my son. The kind of sacrifice and the kind of difficulty that they had to go through to take care of this little kid. He grabs him and pulls him close and he says, you are my son. All right. So you can feel that. And I got to say, Kevin Costner. I don't think Kevin Costner ever misses a beat with these movies. He's really good as an actor. And this particular role just really fit in like a glove. I mean, you could tell they did their homework. And that this just a short little clip in the trailer, it really appealed to me. But I was like, it was pulling on my heartstrings. All of this was pulling on my heartstrings, but this didn't convince me that this trailer, I wasn't convinced about Superman, even up to this point in the trailer. I don't know about you guys, but I wasn't convinced about him. So let's keep it moving.
I have to believe that you were sent here for a reason. And even if it takes the rest of your life, you owe it to yourself to find out what that reason is.
I love that. So the trailer literally summarizing up what the movie is. So, all those people who came out and said, Jonathan Kent, they wasn't trying to help Superman. And why is Superman so selfish? Why is he care only about himself, self-preservation? And Jonathan Kent did the right thing, right? He tried to give Clark time to find out who he was, because clearly Clark was not from this world. Jonathan had showed him that. He needed to know who he was. He needed to know where he came from. He needed to know what was his purpose for being here. In the meantime, Jonathan and Martha were trying to protect him, and not only protect him, but fill him up with values that were absolutely necessary for him, because he was super strong. He could kill anybody easily. So it was important that they made sure he controlled himself. He controlled his senses, And so the very critiques that people said, Superman was so reckless. Why did Martha and Jonathan can't teach him how to be less reckless so that he didn't kill people, in the Black Zero event and so on. That's not true. They were very careful, and the movie showed that they were very careful and how they dealt with Jonathan Kent. And just in case you guys don't understand this, go watch Brightburn and see what happens when they're not careful and a child like that goes off the rails. All right, because you guys really have absolutely no idea how dangerous it is to have someone like that, so powerful. Right. And I don't think people appreciate the kind of work that Jonathan and Martha Kent did to allow Clark to be that kind of person that he turned out to be. Right. So let's keep it moving.
How do you find someone who has spent a lifetime covering his tracks? For some, he was a guardian angel. For others, a ghost who never quite fit in.
You will give the people of Earth an idea.
All right, let's stop right there. So this is Lois Lane telling us how she was able to track down Superman. Of course, Lois Lane is an expert in journalism and also in getting a story and following a lead. So she's like a detective herself. She's an investigative journalist, and she's really good at her job. And in this trailer, she's saying how she was able to track him down, what kind of capacity he seemed to have been operating in. And she only started tracking him down because, of course, he saved her life on the ship and then left her there. And she had complete evidence that he's alien, right? She knows he's not from this world, right? Because he's flying the ship and she was in the ship, right? She tracked him down and so he was. So because of her curiosity, I think Lois Lane's major weapon was her curiosity. She's always in the middle of things because she has that nose. She's like that bloodhound. She can find that story, and that's what makes her cool. I don't know what James Gunn has in store. I hope Lois Lane is, that expert reporter that we hope she will be, because I haven't seen any version of Lois Lane in movies that's really been as good as this Amy Adams has been in terms of tracking down stories. Amy Adams is more soft-spoken, but she's tough. She's brutal when she needs to be, and she don't play around when she's, So you saw that side of the Lois Lane, but you also saw a gentler, more intuitive side, a kind of feeling side of Lois Lane, which we never saw on screen. But boy, is she a bloodhound, and does she follow a story. All right, so let's keep it moving.
Strive towards. They will race behind you. They will stumble.
Well, that's very regal with the cape over. Very regal.
Time, they will join you in the sun. In time, you will help them accomplish wonders.
She's all ascension. Ascension is the key, my dear. Very inspiring. Okay, we gotta stop all that. Zach just started just really flashing stuff in front of us. Okay, let's run that back. Let's run that back if we can. How can I go backwards? I can't go backwards. I gotta start from the start. Okay, no problem.
Goodbye, my son. My hopes and dreams travel with you.
You'll be an outcast.
See, ascension is part of the theme.
How? You'll be a god to them. What if a child dreamed of becoming something other than what society had intended? What if a child aspired to something greater?
That's what I like about this Superman story. It's very
My
relatable.
son was in the bus.
Love that angle, by the way.
He saw what Clark did.
You're the answer, son. You're the answer to are we alone in the universe?
Can I just keep pretending I'm your son?
You are my son. And I have to believe that you were sent here for a reason. And even if it takes the rest of your life,
Owe it to yourself.
you to yourself to find out what that reason is.
A sense of purpose, right?
How do you find someone who has spent a lifetime covering his tracks? For some, he was a guardian angel. For others, a ghost who never quite fit in.
You will give the people of Earth an ideal to strive towards. They will race behind you. They will stumble. They will fall. But in time, they will join you in the sun. In time, you will help them accomplish wonders.
I really love that line. But notice he's not saying that Cal is the ideal. He's saying you'll give them an ideal to strive towards. If the world was a perfect world, there would be no need for Superman, right? So Superman in this particular world, the world's messed up a bit. And Superman's there to give them an ideal to strive towards, to give them an idea of what being good is, to sort of manifest what being good could be, and so that's what Superman's there for. He's there to help mankind, and he's there to kind of show mankind, hey, this ideal. Now, he may not always hit the mark. It's about the ideal. It's not about him, right? So anyway, here's he going up into the sky, and let's keep it going. Ascension again. Okay, that's a lot that went on there. So you had him there fighting the world engine. Then you saw the Smallville scene where the plane crashes into the place. And now this is him here fighting against the world engine before he goes up to destroy it, right? Okay.
You believe your son is safe?
Okay, this is very interesting. So again, a series of very quick things happened. One is, of course, General Zod talking to Laura L. And he says, you believe your son is safe? I will find him, right? And then you see all the guns trained on Superman here as he's elevated up in the sky.
I will find him!
My father believed that if the world found out who I really was, they'd reject me. He was convinced that the world wasn't ready. What do you think?
What's the S stand?
Okay, before I go on, there's a lot that just went on there. I can't go into all the details. There's a lot of stuff that just went on there, right? Those are Smallville battles. There was a bit of the Krypton stuff, and then there was some stuff, I believe, with Superman fighting Zod, I believe. I'm not sure. I'll have to look it back. But more than that, on top of that, you're hearing that his father was convinced that the world was not ready for him, right? And we know he let his father die because of that. He needed to get himself in order, and then the world needed to get itself in order. And of course, this panned out to be true because he ended up getting killed by people of the world. They were not ready for him. And also, it's also true that he needed to wait, as his father said. So all of this was already said in the trailer. This is why I don't understand why people say, oh, well, the father put him to live, and why everybody's all mad that the father died in the tornado and all this stuff. When this was in the trailer, okay? This was all in the trailer. The trailer was telling you about the story. Okay, now she's saying, what does the S stand for? And he's going to say what it is. And I love this part. This is the part that actually hooked me in. After that, I was very intrigued.
It's not an S. On my world, it means hope.
Well, here it's an S. How about C?
Excuse me.
And then he's just punching Zod. And I was like, God damn, that's Superman right there. Yeah. So I think that's what threw me for a loop when he said it's not an S. On my planet, it means hope. And then learning that the Kryptonian language and that these are glyphs was just so cool. It was so awesome. Love this trailer. This is my favorite trailer. So shout out to Askalan Hawk, aka Wajid Malik. And now I just want to do a poem by Wajid Malik called Echoes. And it's very thoughtful. So let's go into it. I got these echoes in my DNA from my ancestors and their way of life. I'm not talking about people from caves and their hieroglyphs. I'm talking about 14,000 years ago in Mecca and in Medina, where people's houses were basically just one room, and the currency in which they traded was gold and silver coins. Moreover, you could say that they were rurally advanced. Then again, my people weren't just farmers and shepherds. They were warriors, and some of them were tradesmen. Some of them were scribes, because not everybody could read and write. So I guess that's why I pick up the pen and follow the footsteps of my forefathers. Don't you know my forefathers were geniuses and wrote libraries and libraries of books? So much that they built the biggest library ever in Babylonia before Alexander the Great Butcherer set the place ablaze. So take my hand. I'm taking all of you on a journey into the labyrinth of my mind. Nowadays, people are just using AI and acting like they're such accomplished writers. But let it be known, I wrote all these words with my own hand. I use my own hand and point fingers. You could call it functionalism, but without writing, I would be dysfunctional. Yeah, I'm so dysfunctional, but I guess that's part and parcel of being an Arab and a Muslim. These sociologists want to get in my head and study what's in my head. Regardless of all the negative connotations and propaganda that have spread about me in Western civilization. But at the end of the day, I'm nothing but human first. Then I'm a Muslim, then I'm an Arab. At the end of the day, I'm human regardless of what an Orientalist thinks. They want you to believe that I'm backwards and inferior to the Western way of thinking, but truth is, they're wrong. Truth is, the only way I can better society is by looking in the mirror. Just look in the past and see how we Arabs were advanced in science and mathematics. Without Arabs and algorithms, you wouldn't even have computers and AI. Just look back and see how Arabs influenced architecture. Moreover, we were advanced when it came to literature and poetry. That's why I pick up the pen to revive what was canon. And if you went back 1,000 years, people from all over the world, they would come to Arabia for trade. They would come to Iraq to study in our universities in the age of enlightenment. Nowadays, we're living in the age of lies and ignorance. But that doesn't mean we can't have hope and set society back on the right course. So even though we're echoes of society, we shouldn't leave our heritage behind, regardless of what labels the West gives us. Let's bring back knowledge and enlightenment and let it guide us in this so-called modern world, because we are the architects of our own destiny. Moreover, let us not forget our rich history. We're in forging our own fate in the present. And when all's said and done, let's all be a beacon and testify that we will serve humanity. Again, his name is Wajid Malik, also known as Askalan Falcon on Twitter. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful poem, and I wanted to share it with you guys today. On that note, I am Christ, I am disciple. I hope you guys have a great day. It's good to know your forefathers, to know your genealogy, to know your history, to know who you are. Superman had to do that. How many of you know who you are, who you descend from, what your purpose is? It's important. And you don't have to conform to the social norms. If you're doing good in this world, however you do it in your own unique way, matters. If everyone was the same and doing the same old shit, guess what? We'd have problems. Express yourself. Live your life as only you can. I am Christ, I am disciple. You guys have a great one.